From domestic politics now to the international agreement that has finally come in after years of rhetoric, discussion and deliberations. India and the United Kingdom have signed the landmark free trade agreement hereon called the FTA. PM Modi and his British counterpart, Prime Minister Kier Starmer, inked the long-awaited trade deal, marking what both countries have described as a turning point in bilateral relationship. What does it mean? The deal is estimated to boost over $34 billion worth of trade between India and UK on an annual basis. Prime Minister Modi described the India-UK Trade Pact as a milestone moment in bilateral relationship, highlighting how the agreement will help boost joint prosperity and aid job creation, both of course in Britain and in India. The British Prime Minister also appreciating the biggest British trade deal, he calls it, since Brexit, and that it will deliver significant economic advantages for both nations and employment as well. He adds that this will boost wages, raise living standards and put more money in the pockets of the working people. So that's how the British Prime Minister has been propagating about it. Let's listen in to the first reactions that have come in from Prime Minister Narendra Modi and British Prime Minister Kier Starmer.
मैं प्रधानमंत्री स्टार्मर के गर्मजोशी भरे स्वागत सत्कार के लिए हार्दिक आभार व्यक्त करता हूं। आज हमारे संबंधों में एक ऐतिहासिक दिवस है। मुझे प्रसन्नता है कि कई वर्षों की मेहनत के बाद आज दोनों देशों के बीच कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव इकोनॉमिक एंड ट्रेड एग्रीमेंट संपन्न हुआ है। अगले दशक में हमारी कॉम्प्रिहेंसिव स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप को नई गति और ऊर्जा देने के लिए विजन 2035 जारी किया जा रहा है। यह टेक्नोलॉजी, डिफेंस, क्लाइमेट, एजुकेशन और पीपल टू पीपल कनेक्ट के क्षेत्रों में एक मजबूत, भरोसेमंद और महत्वाकांक्षी साझेदारी का रोड मैप बनेगा।
It is a deal that will bring huge benefits to both of our countries, boosting wages, raising living standards and putting more money in the pockets of working people. It is good for jobs, it is good for business, cutting tariffs and making trade cheaper, quicker and easier. It is good for British workers in cutting-edge manufacturing, whisky distillers across Scotland and the service sector in London, in Manchester and in Leeds. It is good for consumers because it will bring down prices on Indian goods in the United Kingdom, like clothes and shoes and food, and it will deliver benefits for the long term. It will add about £4.8 billion to the UK economy every year and £2.2 billion to wages and hundreds of millions of pounds to regions and nations up and down the United Kingdom.
So remember, primarily this will be about reduction in tariffs, both for India and the UK. And it's going to be on diverse sectors. Talk about soft drinks to automobiles to different sectors as well. And that is why it took so many years, literally, and different prime ministers, in fact, from Britain to be able to sit with Indian Prime Minister and be able to chart out this deal. So let's find out what's happening on this. I'm joined by our editor India Today Global, Pranay Upadhyay. Pranay, tell me, what does it mean between India-UK bilateral relationship? Why have both prime ministers focused on that? Of course, apart from the technical details of what and how the FTA deal will benefit India and Britain.
As the name suggests, Pooja, it's a free trade agreement, and the free trade agreement will enhance or increase the integration between the Indian and the British economy. And they both are big economies. Britain is a developed economy from the G7 country, and India is the fastest growing economy. Over the period of time, UK has realized that it's the time to invest in India, and that's why they have decided to go ahead with the free trade agreement. We know that post Brexit, as Prime Minister Kier Starmer also mentioned it, that post Brexit, this is the first big trade agreement UK has entered into. And also from the India's point of view, if you see, this is the biggest trade agreement India is entering into with any developing economy, especially from the G7 countries. And this will also pave the way for further negotiations as far as the India-EU FTA is concerned, or be it the bilateral trade agreement with India and United States is concerned. So this is a very important, achievement, a milestone in India-UK relation, and also the economic might of India, because India is a big economy, India is a growing economy, and what India is going to get in it. So India's textile sector is going to get benefited out of it, because the $26 billion is the market size as far as the UK textile imports are concerned. Currently, India is only exporting, say, about $1.2 billion worth of textile to UK. With the tariff coming from 20% to zero, now Indian textile products, be it apparels, be it handicrafts, be it carpets, all those textile sector products will get zero tariffs and will get a greater and a bigger market access. Likewise, in terms of the food process products, in terms of the agrarian products, in terms of the fisheries, marine products are worth the market size of the UK in terms of the marine product is $5.2 billion. And in many products, Pooja, let me tell you that what this FTA has done, it has brought down the tariff line from 70% tariff up to 0%. So like 70% to zero tariff is a great market access for anything. And likewise, the UK is also going to get benefited out of, with their products, not only in terms of the beverages you mentioned about, the automobiles you mentioned about, but besides that, the UK telecom companies, the UK construction companies, and also the insurance sector of India, of United Kingdom will get greater access in the Indian market.
Can we see this, and before I go on, Pranay, as a political partnership also? That speaks highly with regard to Kier Starmer coming in and then Prime Minister Modi, because eventually it's the two leaders and of course the bureaucrats who have to decide how to ensure benefit for both sides.
You're absolutely right, Pooja. If you see where both Prime Minister had a meeting, they did not meet in a 10 Downing Street, which is the formal residence of British Prime Minister, but they met in Chequers House, which is the countryside residence of British Prime Minister. This clearly shows that he wanted to go beyond the usual protocol. He wanted to receive Indian Prime Minister who was visiting in UK in a special location, and that is the place where the India-UK FTA was signed. Besides that, the political leadership has an intent to take forward the relationship, to expand the scope and horizon of the comprehensive strategic partnership, which both India and United Kingdom have signed some years ago. The Technical Security Initiative, which is a new initiative, which is just a year old, that was also reviewed by Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Kier Starmer during this meeting, and it has been decided to expand the space and the scope of TSI. So this is also going to be very big in terms of the defense partnership, in terms of the technology partnership, in terms of the security and intelligence cooperation.
So different sectors where it can spread. Good point made. And I want to just take a look, Pranay, stay on with me, with the visual of Prime Minister Modi by the countryside with Kier Starmer, both leaders standing, and we'll put out that visual now on our screen. Remember this visual. India, decades ago, was a British colony. Today, India stands as an independent, equal nation, in fact, an economy that is up high on the ladder, more than the UK, and is talking as two equal independent nations to be able to reach out to a deal. When many ask what has changed with regard to India, this image tells you a lot about it. So how does India then benefit from the free trade agreement? Let me take you through the details that have come in. These are inside details from the FTA agreement confirmed by our colleagues. 99% Indian goods are set to become duty-free in the UK. Indian firms are going to expand in the UK as well. Employment opportunities as much for the British citizens, but also business deals, prospects for Indian entrepreneurs. India-made electric vehicles and hybrids will get preferred access into the UK market. But India, as is being cautious, especially even with the USA, agriculture and dairy will continue to be protected. But here's what's interesting with regard to what's coming into India. Airbus and Rolls-Royce will be delivering aircrafts into India. Remember, some of the high-powered engines with regard to aircrafts have been from the Rolls-Royce, and that are likely to come to India now. Then a huge dip, 15% to 3% now. What was earlier 15% to 3% now dip in India tariff on UK products. If there's whiskey, gin production, that tariff also will cut down from 150% to 75%. The business cost in manufacturing will reduce as much, benefiting India. What about UK exports? Increase in exports to India will also increase by about 60%. That will make the market slightly competitive too. eventually a bilateral trade rise by nearly 39%. I want to bring in my colleague from Business Today, Associate Editor Chetan Bhutani. Chetan, now you tell me, for the Indian viewer watching right now, wondering that what is in it for India, for Indians, are whether it's the public or the entrepreneurs with regard to the FTA. Take us through the details.
Well, Pooja, it's a win-win situation for both the countries. If I, start by talking about where the major sectors are likely to be benefited from. Remember, Pooja, in the processed food industry, the entry tax for the UK for India business owners, MSMEs, was about 70%. Now it stands at zero. Leather footwear, electrical machinery, headgear, glass ceramics, textile clothing, ranging between 14 to 20 odd percent, now stands at zero. Mechanical machinery, minerals, chemicals, plastic, rubber, instruments, gems and jewelry, arms, furniture and sports goods, all ranging between 2 to 20 to 40 odd percent, now stands at zero.
Wow.
Well, talking about the marine industry, India, of course, is a very agri-sensitive market. But yes, India has opened up its marine industry to the UK. In fact, Indian Marine and Fisheries Department and, of course, private players will get more access to export their seafood to the UK. And in fact, considering UK is one of the biggest consumers of seafood, this will be a golden opportunity for marine exporters as well. Now, talking about electronics, Pooja, electronics is one of the biggest markets in India. Now, India homegrown brands now have zero duty access to UK and its subsequent markets, because we have many homegrown brands who, in fact, want to step out of the country but don't because of high taxes. They have equal amount of zero taxes for them as well. It's a win-win situation for the services sector.
Okay.
The big news coming in is a 3-year exemption for Indian workers, employees with no guarantee or no liability of social security as well.
These are very interesting points. So remember the kind of deliberations that must have gone on behind the curtains with regard to reaching these conclusions that benefits both the countries. Thank you very much, Chetan Bhutani and Pranay Upadhyay. The deal finally inked, signed and sealed, and we'll see how it progresses to other sectors as well in the days to come. Now, interestingly, while the focus was FTA, but both the Prime Ministers, in fact, especially Indian Prime Minister, spoke on some other issues as well. Pahalgam terror attack found a mention. Expressing gratitude to Prime Minister Kier Starmer for the strong condemnation against the April 22nd massacre in Pahalgam, sponsored by Pakistan. Prime Minister also made it clear that there is no place for double standards in the fight against terror. He also indirectly flagged the Khalistani issue, one of not just law and order issues, but much more than that, on the British soil, asserting that forces with extremist ideologies cannot be allowed to misuse democratic freedoms. And then there was a mention on the economic fugitives. I want you to listen in to all that Prime Minister Narendra Modi said vis-a-vis beyond the FTA and about national security and criminal issues.
पहलगाम में हुए आतंकवादी हमले की कठोर निंदा के लिए हम प्रधानमंत्री स्टारमर और उनकी सरकार का आभार व्यक्त करते हैं। हम एक मत हैं कि आतंकवाद के खिलाफ लड़ाई में दोहरे मापदंडों का कोई स्थान नहीं है। हम इस बात पर भी सहमत हैं कि एक्सट्रीमिस्ट विचारधारा वाली शक्तियों को डेमोक्रेटिक फ्रीडम का दुरुपयोग नहीं करने दिया जा सकता। Those who misuse democratic freedoms to undermine democracy itself must be held account. इकोनॉमिक ऑफेंडर्स के प्रत्यार्पण के विषय पर भी हमारी एजेंसी सहयोग और समन्वय से काम करती रहेगी। जब भारत और यूके मिले और वह भी टेस्ट सीरीज के दौरान, तो क्रिकेट का उल्लेख तो करना ही पड़ता है। फॉर बोथ ऑफ अस, cricket is not just a game, but a passion. And also a great metaphor for our partnership. There may be a swing and a miss at times, but we always play with a straight bat. We are committed to building हाई स्कोरिंग सॉलिड पार्टनरशिप, आज संपन्न हुए समझौते और विजन 2035 इसी स्पिरिट को आगे बढ़ाने वाले माइलस्टोन है.
Okay, so it appeared, of course, the serious issues on one side. There was a cricket analogy as well by Prime Minister Narendra Modi to slip in the light humor. Pranav Wadhai continues to be with us. Pranav, this is what I was talking about. Of course, there's an FTA business agreement, but there were other issues also mentioned. Why do you think Prime Minister Modi specifically mentioned these 2 to 3 key takeaways of issues vis-a-vis Britain and the manner in which it was addressed at this occasion?
Definitely, Pooja. In an informal setting, in the conversation, having cricket analogy or the reference about the curries. Besides that, there was some serious talks as well. You heard Prime Minister Narendra Modi mentioning about the individuals, the people, those who have been using the UK soil, the British soil, and misusing the freedom of democracy, freedom of expression, and especially targeting India. Definitely, as a partner, India does expect we do expect UK to take action against those and hold them accountable for it, because we have seen in recent past, in the last 5 years, you have seen that anti-Kashmir protest or the post Article 3 abrogation of Article 370 from Kashmir, the kind of protest held outside the India House in London, how violent they became, and how they were fueled by Pakistan. So definitely, the Pakistan have been using the British freedom of expression, the British soil, and trying to misuse it, targeting India. Likewise, the Khalistani elements are also there. So definitely that remains an issue for India, and that's why Prime Minister Narendra Modi did mention, not only in his conversation, but also during his media statement, that this is what India expects. Also, in terms of the economic offenders, it was 2nd of March 2016, Pooja, when Vijay Mallya left India and he went to UK. Since then, it's been 9 years. India has been waiting for it. We have already completed the we have already been waiting for his extradition. The legal procedure, the court procedure is already over. We are only waiting for the UK Home Department to execute those court orders to implement.
So that's where I think the aspect of further cooperation in different sectors that are also expected from India and from Kier Starmer as well. That's what India would be waiting for. Appreciate you joining us, Pranay, for all the latest on that. Now, while this press conference or the joint statement that was happening, our team caught on to a specific excerpt about what unfolded, and it also reflects on the presence of mind of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The translator started to struggle with certain words, started to apologize. Prime Minister Modi stayed calm and expressed support, saying, why don't you use some English words instead? Let's listen into what happened there.
और यहाँ के कंज्यूमर के लिए बहुत अच्छा रहेगा और ये दोनों देशों में जो बातचीत होगी, ट्रेड होगी, जो बढ़ेगा.
Don't bother, we can use English words in between. Don't worry about it.
Sorry, His Excellency, I've lost the speech.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah.
यहाँ के कंज्यूमर